Do you know anyone who got an owner's manual for life? Me neither. At any rate, I sure didn't receive an owner's manual. I relied on my parents, people that raised me, classmates, teachers, religious leaders. They all told me exactly what I needed to do to be successful. They all said it was easy to be successful. The first thing that you do is go to school and get good grades. Well, I determined to work hard and get the best grades I could. It turns out good grades weren't that hard for me. But you know what? It didn't make me too popular. In fact, I was always trying to prove my worth by getting those good grades again. I didn't feel very smart. And the crazy thing was that the popular kids with D minuses, they got promoted just like the other students with A's. At some point, I began to wonder, why am I working so hard? Away I went to college to get an education, and you know what? I ended up with debt for an education in a field that didn't pay very well. But that's what I thought I had to do to be successful. Get good grades, get an education, maybe invent something, make a grand discovery, gain worldwide acclaim, yet none of that turned out to be true. Talk about limiting beliefs. So I found a job in a different field in order to pay off the debt, and I worked hard, just like they said I should. So if you followed the same school of thought as I did, you're financially done. You're totally fulfilled in life, you're happy, and everything's okay, right? Oh, maybe not. If things aren't that way for you, if you're dissatisfied in any area of your life, I want to share with you some things that happened to me. I remember being told that money doesn't grow on trees. Have you heard this? Have you ever wondered why they were so busy telling us where it didn't grow instead of telling us where it did grow? Can you think of some other things we were told when we were young that weren't quite 100% true? So I did what I was told to do. I got a job. I worked. Then what's the next thing you're supposed to do? Get married. Have kids. Get a house with a picket fence, maybe a dog or a cat. It's a nice plan, isn't it? In fact, it was my dream come true to be a wife and a mom. I truly wanted to pour myself into taking care of my family. And you may have guessed the white picket fence didn't quite materialize as I'd imagined. Instead, there were some bumps in the road. And when my oldest was little, I worked not one, not two, but 3 jobs just to survive. And at one point, I even worked out of my home. You know what I found out? I could pay the bills, but I wasn't living. The time I spent earning money meant that I wasn't there for my family. If my kids needed a listening ear, a healthy meal, or someone to help them through a difficult time, they were left to manage the best they could. And when I did get home from working a full-time job, I was exhausted. I needed to take care of myself, but my family needed me too, and there just wasn't enough time or resources in the day to do both. Then I took a leap and made the commitment to be home, no matter what. Boy, I learned a lot of survival skills. I knew how to pinch pennies and stretch dollars. I also learned how to do without a lot. And my children and my husband, they did too. Sometimes all of my efforts just weren't enough. There wasn't enough resources, enough hope things would get better, enough of me. And I wondered if I hadn't just exchanged one set of problems for another. You know, you do that when something gets broken and it turns into a really big deal. I was in the land of opportunity, home of the free and the brave. But the opportunity to be a mom with options and resources to raise my children, to share that vision, that seemed beyond my grasp. The worst part? It really wouldn't have taken that much money just to give me some breathing room. There always seemed to be just a little bit more month at the end of the paycheck. Savings? Are you kidding me? Anything I did accumulate was gone before it had a chance to grow. Someone would get sick, an appliance would die, or something would go wrong with the car. Yeah, the used car. We bought that with financing. Even with all of these challenges, my husband and I thought that as long as we were willing to work hard, we could handle what life threw our way. We thought that eventually we would dig our way out. But we were wrong. We had a single income, debt, and medical bills. Yes, even with the best medical insurance we could afford, there were still deductibles, co-pays, and other related expenses. And you know what? When it's your kid's life at stake, you don't quibble about the cost, you just sign up for more debt. I hope you'll all stop and think for a minute. If someone told you today that you had to handle a major medical issue, take time away from work, and do it all on half of what you were used to living on, what would you do? Even if there's an emergency fund, that runs out pretty quickly. I had to ask myself, what would happen if that one source of income suddenly stopped as well? I had to consider finding a different way.